back to the Hollow Sky Podcast. We are your hosts, Steven.
And Kyle.
And today, we're going to do something a little different. Me and Kyle have been delving into some heavy conspiracy theories, trying to put a bunch of information together for episodes. So, we did not have an episode ready for this weekend when we're recording. So, we're just going to do a little listener experience episode. Kind of get through some of the messages you guys have sent us and that have been kind of on the in the back stock, so to speak. We run them as we kind of get them and try to, you know how it goes. But we've got some here we're going to share with you today. That way you have some content to fill your ear holes with. But before we do that, you have to listen to the business. So check us out at all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Everywhere you can be social. Come over, hang out with us, share memes, any kind of weird stories you can find, weird articles, just pretty much anything. We also have a Discord. Check that out. I think I got a link on the Facebook fan page, or just message us. We can get it to you one way or another. Come over there and hang out. We got a lot of awesome discussion over there. A lot of very cool people. We always talk about weird shit. Come over there and hang out with us. If you have a paranormal experience you'd like to submit for future use on a future episode, Kyle's going to tell you how to do it.
You can write your story out, shoot it through the email or the website. You can record yourself with your smart device, whether it's on your voice memo app or record yourself in a video, and you can shoot it over to the email, which is going to be hollowskypodcast@gmail.com. Or you can text our Hollow Sky phone. You can call our Hollow Sky phone and leave a voicemail. And every other record weekend, we are going to be allowing candid interviews around 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. And that phone number is going to be 618-556-0837. So, and it's posted on our social medias too. If you need a refresher, you can get a hold of one of us and we'll shoot you the number. But we want a ton of weird shit busting through that line.
Hell yeah. Off the cuff calls with the weird shit.
We want the crazy shit. So hit us up, give us some stories, give us some shit to talk about. Because the way it looks like we have a very interesting submission about ready to be talked about.
I love that there's
a weird
a picture. But if you'd like to support our podcast, if you're sitting there like, hey, how can I support these Hollow Boys? I'm going to tell you how to do it. First, you can share us on your social medias, anywhere you listen to your podcast. If you're in a car with your friend, be like, yo, listen to these two losers. And that helps us get our name out there.
Agreed.
It's freaking the best thing you can do for us. We have a Patreon set up. You can come over there and check out our tiers. We have stickers and buttons and magnets and a bunch of other shit. There's t-shirt tiers, and you can find something that you like and subscribe to it. We release extra content every month and play this thing where Kyle rolls the dice and I talk about weird shit and we talk about it, and it usually goes off track.
Yeah.
100 different ways, but people enjoy it. So there's that. We have a Patreon, we already did Patreon, but we also have a Venmo. Search up Hollow Sky Podcast, and if you'd like to leave us a little bit of change to buy a monster, or we're trying to save up money to buy the Illuminati trading card game.
Hell yes.
And see what that's all about. See if I can read the future. You know how it is. We're also looking into getting some camera equipment so we can go to some spooky ass places and see if Kyle can get possessed by a demon.
Yay.
Surprise, Kyle.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do this podcast. So I can get possessed by demons. Awesome.
Sick.
Awesome.
You can go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a dope ass 5-star rating and review. If you do and we find it, I'll gladly shout you out. Today's 5-star rating and review, I usually get it from Apple and iTunes, but I know not everybody uses Apple products. I'm working on it. Today's 5-star review is brought to us by AMA413. It says, good stuff. This podcast has got me through several otherwise boring and mundane shifts as of late. If you're into the paranormal and all things high strangeness, give these guys a listen. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Good times. Well, AMA, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Not being disappointed in us.
I appreciate you very much.
We definitely.
It's out of the norm. No, it's not. A lot of people seem to like us a lot, except for where we live. So
That's true. It's whatever.
yeah, we're just
Kyle's-
we're ghosts through our town, which is kind of nice, really.
What? How do I make this font bigger, Kyle?
Command plus.
Hell yeah. I don't computer good. But yeah, we're going to get into these listener experiences, put you together a little show of weird shit you guys have sent us, hopefully inspire you to send us some more shit.
Yeah, we could use some more weird stories.
So this is brought to us, our first listener experience from our friend Elizabeth. Says, sleep paralysis episode again. Hey guys, I thought I'd write in after listening to your latest episode with the sleep paralysis stories. I don't have much weird stuff happen to me apart from some sleep paralysis, seeing shadow figures out of the corner of my eye, and the odd ghost cat. Well, first off, that kind of sounds like a pretty good combination of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really wish I had more stories to share, but on the other hand, I guess I should be careful what I wish for. I've had an occasional sleep paralysis since about 2013, 2014 when I was mid-20s. Like the guy who called in with his experiences, I can kind of know when it starts happening by now and catch myself before I really enter the state. I'll just cover the two most vivid experiences I have because I both saw entities and heard sounds. I would love to know if anyone else hears the same thing because it's so distinctive. The first one was probably 4 to 5 years ago. I don't remember being awoken by anything in particular, no weird dreams or anything. I was suddenly awake, terrified, heart pounding, and unable to move a muscle. Although I felt like I was fighting with everything I had. In the corner of the room was a weird mechanical centaur rearing up like it was about ready to rush me. Whether it was supposed to be like robotic or maybe even wearing armor, I don't know, but it seemed metallic, covered in gears and nuts and bolts. But yeah, definitely the shape of a horse melded with a human. The noise was the worst thing. As soon as I was awake, I was assaulted by this awful, cacophonous mess of noise. It really reminded me of an old dial-up internet sound. Like anybody over the age of 25 knows it. Really screechy, lots of changing tones, but 1,000 times louder. I was trying to scream and move, and eventually managed to move my fingers, and that seemed to loosen everything else up. I got my body back, and the weird centaur noise faded away. I don't think I slept very well for the rest of the night, but nothing else happened. The second one was the most frightening for me. It was a couple of years ago, 2019, I think. I remember I was dreaming, a perfectly pleasant dream of lying in bed, looking out the window at a sunrise over a meadow. But then I became aware I was dreaming, and in utter terror, bone-chilling fear crept over me. Fear like I've never felt before. All simultaneously, I was awake and unable to move. The exact same sound as before started, the horrible screeching dial-up tone. My eyes flew open, and I saw the figure right at my bedside looming over me, a tall, shadowy silhouette with long curling horns. I couldn't see the face, but it had shaggy hair all over, and it was kind of like the Baphomet figure, part man, part goat. I've attached a picture which is somewhat similar, although what I saw was less distinct in features and a wider, hulkier body, and the horns curled. Luckily, it didn't make a move, but the absolute fear of God was put in me seeing the figure and hearing that noise. And this time I was able to scream, no, 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 and I put everything I had into making my hand move. Once I had my hand moving, like the last time, the rest of my body unfroze and everything else faded away. Total props to my partner who did not at all try to wake me up despite later telling me he heard me screaming.
Well,
Dang. I've only had 1 or 2 episodes of sleep paralysis since then, and if I'm lucky, I recognize the feeling now and pull myself out of it. It's always neat to hear what other people have experienced with these differences and similarities and what theories there are about it. Whether you ever want to use this for an episode or not, or just keep it for some extra data on the phenomenon to compare with 2 others, it's all good. Thanks for all the hours of great listening and such a variety of weird subjects. I'm loving you way down here in New Zealand. Elizabeth. Well,
yeah, you don't have that much weird stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this here. First off, I completely relate to your second experience where you're just laying there and you realize you're asleep. You understand that you're asleep, but you feel awake, and then you have the fear creep over you. That's my sleep paralysis to AT. I don't recall hearing anything, and I don't see anything outside of just my bedroom, but I am terrified of something. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I am horrified. Second thing I want to point out here, the mechanical centaur, I think, is the first mechanical centaur sleep paralysis experience I've ever came across.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It might be the first mechanical centaur experience, period.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything
That's
like
money.
it. Dude, it is wild.
It needs to be a shirt.
I agree. Absolutely. Like that would be terrifying.
That
This,
is,
and the fact that it looks like it's rearing up to charge you, and you're just like, well, this is great. I can't move.
and it's either covered in armor or it's made of metal. Like, that is fucking wild.
And then she could see the gears and stuff on it.
Yes.
Like it is. It's some sci-fi
I wouldn't
movie.
I wouldn't even know what to do. Like, if I saw like a Hat Man or some shit, I'd be like, all right, that's part of the course. If I see a centaur robot, I'm like, what in the fuck is happening in my brain right now?
No, it is weird. That, like you said, that is the first one we've ever heard. I've never even heard of anything remotely close to it.
It's also bizarre to me that the two entities you've seen are both like anamorphic people / animals. And that's weird.
Yeah, because both of them would be equally terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not trying to fuck with Baphomet either, but
No, I think the Baphomet would probably scare me more, especially the fact that it was
huge and jacked.
Yeah, and like looming at the foot of your bed. That would be terrifying.
And the overwhelming sound. I can't remember if many other people.
I've never really heard that description.
But it kind of makes me think of exploding head syndrome.
A little bit.
Where they have like almost like the auditory hallucinations along with.
But when it comes to my exploding head syndrome, they're usually quick, sharp. Like it's not. Yeah, like you'll hear, like the best way I can describe it is, for me, it literally sounds like somebody closes my car door outside. Or I do have that very rare occasion where I hear a female's voice go, Kyle. And that's creepy. It. Like it's really fast, really crisp. I've never heard anything where it's prolonged and like deafening.
Are you awake when it happens?
I'm in that in-between state.
Like, does it snap you out of that state when it happens?
Oh, yeah, every single time it draws me out of it. Like I'll hear Kyle, and then my eyes will shoot open. You know, because sometimes I think it's Shauna trying to get a hold of me or something. Yeah. Or I hear what I think is my car door shutting and going, oh shit, I think somebody's in my car.
Yeah.
So it startles me out of whatever. And those are the only two that I ever have, you know, when it comes to that, the exploding head syndrome. I've never had anything else.
It is bizarre.
And I haven't, like I said, I haven't heard of anybody describe anything as loud, you know, 100 times louder or more prolonged. Like, because when I think of the dial-up tone, it's a long, drawn out.
And it is weird that, like, because the dial-up tone is kind of digitally.
Like, yeah, and it changes tones and stuff like that.
I don't know if I'm just associating that with computers and shit because it is the dial-up tone or because it actually sounds like that. But it's, that is I don't think I've ever heard that before.
No.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for taking the time to type this out and send it to us. It was,
I appreciate you.
The added picture, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
The picture is
Anybody
creepy.
else send us emails in? If you wanna put pictures in there, please do. Because as soon as I opened it, I'm like, this is going on. The show.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then you briefly skimmed over the mechanical centaur, and I'm like, it's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening.
It's bizarre.
It is so weird.
Well, I'm glad you kind of got a grasp and you kind of feel them coming on and you can control it. And I hope you don't have to deal with it because it is a shitty feeling to be afraid of something that you don't know what you're afraid of. And it's probably even worse when you're afraid of a giant mechanical centaur hanging out in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So we thank you all the way from New Zealand, Elizabeth, for taking the time to send this in. Definitely a dope story. And if awesome. Anybody else that deals with sleep paralysis, I know we get a bunch of people sending us sleep paralysis stuff when we talk about it. If you have these auditory phenomenon going on at the same time, let us know because I'm wondering if there's a correlation here that like we've missed up to this point.
It's possible for sure.
Because a lot of people, when you talk about sleep paralysis, you always got the fear, and a lot of times you have the humanoid figures,
Yep.
the shadow people, the Hatman, the old hag, shit like that. But I'm curious if this is a commonality as well. From there, what else we got on deck, Kyle? I know we got some recorded ones.
Yeah, we got some recorded ones we can jump into.
You want to do Jeff's?
Sure.
You got that pulled up?
Yeah.
So a lot of you guys will be familiar with our buddy Jeff. He has sent us in a story a little bit ago we haven't got to, so we're going to talk with him. And he too is not New Zealand, but it's close.
Yeah, g'day guys. Steve, Kyle, fellow Holoskites, how's it going? Jeff, the Aussie again, back with another personal experience, and in fact, as far as I know, this is my first ever personal experience. It's an absolute doozy, and it does get really heavy around about the middle, but it is definitely worth sticking around for. But before that, my absolute heartfelt appreciation and thanks for how my first listener submission was received. I'm definitely excited to have my name in the hypothetical co-host bucket. I squeed twice, and then I squeed again when also the whole invitation to come on and do an interview thing popped up. I'm definitely keen as mustard to drop the paranormal story of my childhood home, which we're dubbing the Aussie Skinwalker Ranch, I guess. I think that's trademark, but we'll see what we can do. Anyway, look, hit me up, dogs. Hit me up. I've got a can of Monster in the fridge, ready to go. Or Liquid Death Mountain Water. I don't know where we're at right now, but whichever one, I can get it sent over, and we're cool. Anyway, so this is a story that I've never told anyone before, even though Dad really wanted me to. I've told no one, no friends, my parents, not even a pet, just to get it out. Nobody, ever. Although I expect once this is published, I'll be sending it to my parents, because they have been wondering for like 3 decades. So, hi Mum, hi Dad. So it was about 1992, 1993, I'm guessing. I'm very sure I was about 6 years old. For anyone who's taking notes, that also does mean, yes, I was living in the haunted house by this time. I'd been moved in about 2 years previous, so perhaps one of the entities had popped out to explore the city with us for the day. Who knows? Anything's fucking possible. So, we went down to the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney, which it's still there today. It's like a technology museum. It's a short walk from Darling Harbour. And on this day, like every other, it was filled with screaming children and their long-suffering parents who were just running around in amongst all sorts of wonderful gadgets, trains, planes. There was like the front half of a space shuttle there, which was my favourite bit. A whole bunch of prehistoric computers, the machine that goes ping. A lot of it was the bleeding edge at the time, but these days it's crap you could buy on Wish for a couple of dollars. So, on the first floor, there was a large display of gadgets from the future. The iron that cooked your breakfast, that sort of thing. Slightly away from the rest of the displays, almost in a walkway, between exhibits was what looked like a photo booth, which is important because that's where the story takes place. So I stared at this thing as people bustled by in a blur, some of them taking a limited amount of interest, most of them dragging their squealing children, giving it a cursory glance as they went by. The idea was that it was supposed to make you look old. There was a whole bunch of semi-creepy pictures next to the machine, monotone portraits of people with the wrinkles, slapped over their face. Think of it as like an archaic Instagram filter, but in a booth in 1993. Anyway, so you look at the screen, you get a quick scan of yourself, you'd be presented with an image of yourself with a few more lines, greyer hair, probably not the weight gain, but I never did get to see this photo of myself. I can see it now, just look in a mirror, but, didn't see it at the time. So, back to the museum. My dad, and I don't know why my brain does this, but I feel like there was something like a second scanner behind it. Either way, there was something that got his attention. So he prompted me to go get my face aged and would see how much like him I looked. Yay. So I settled into the box and Dad disappeared from view. And I just looked forward into this black screen, which from memory had 2 white dots showing where to line your eyes up on this otherwise featureless void. And I had to actually stand to see. So I'm in this box standing, staring into this mirror because the supplied chair was at the right height for adults. And I mean, I say mirror, it's a screen, it's black, but you can see your reflection. And in hindsight, this probably put my face a lot closer to the inky screen than I should have been, which could have been where the problem started. But before I go any further, it is very important to note that I was a very sheltered child. I was a loved, lucky, perhaps even spoilt child. That's not to say that I got everything that I wanted. You know, we were kind of, middle class sort of peeps, but everything my parents could do within their limited means, they really loved me. And being so sheltered, I had no concept of death. I maybe had a vague familiarity with the term itself, but, during my short stint on the planet, my parents they were fine, the cat was fine, my goldfish was still swimming, no death. I'd never seen a serious accident, I'd never witnessed tragedy, and I certainly hadn't the faintest idea about scrying or clairvoyance or near-death experiences or the paranormal. Ghosts were just a guy with a sheet over his head on Scooby-Doo, of a Saturday morning. My life was largely just brightly coloured toys, snacks, and playing in the sun with the cat, which makes what came next just that little bit worse. So there I was, standing way too close to this black screen, staring into the blackness intently, trying to make my eyes line up, when suddenly I wasn't. I wasn't even in the museum. The buzz of the bustling, whirring museum cut off as if it was muted. Physically and mentally, I was somewhere else entirely. I was floating. Perhaps 6 meters, which, I don't know, what's that, 16 feet for everybody. Above the ground, above this scene, there was a car parked askew on the grassy verge of a residential street directly below me. And I could see a commotion towards the front. I was, already starting to very slowly float higher. But I could make out that there was 2 people, one's kneeling and one standing over the shape of an older man on the grass just in front of the car. And the stranger on the ground, I now know, was doing CPR. I had no idea what that was at the time, but they're pumping up and down on this figure's chest. And I guess the second stranger was fiddling furiously with something in their hands, and they're talking to each other, and the compressions are getting frantic, and I can already feel the waves of panic hitting me. Something scary was happening, and I'm way too young to comprehend this. I'm just way too young to understand, but I start to float higher. And like the panic, I now also can feel that this old man is dead, or at the very least taking his last breath. And the finality of it hits me. And I'm like 6 years old, man. And regardless of what beliefs you might have, most of us agree that there is a finality, at least on this mortal plane of existence, in death. And it was that finality that hit me as I floated a little bit higher. The terror of the situation, I think, came to a climax when I realized that man was me. And I was sure of it. I just felt so sure of it. And again, I had no idea of death at this age. I barely even knew the word. And yet, in this moment, I understood on an unspoken, just strongly felt level exactly how final it was. I floated higher again, and the scene, kept shrinking below me, and this frantic CPR, it stopped. The stranger just knelt back, clearly defeated, and the other stranger was now arms folded, hands towards their face, turning away but talking to somebody unseen. And then across the street, another car hastily parks, and a third stranger comes running across, leaving their door open. And I'm straining to see more. I'm just looking around, just trying to get any detail that I can in this fear to make sense of it all, as I now kind of float towards the same level as the top of the trees. And I can see as these leaves are lightly brushing past me, and I can tell immediately it's autumn. There's this foliage, it's this beautiful red and orange, and there's an almost tranquil evening glow across the entire street as even more strangers look out from their houses at the commotion. I think one other person from the left just starts running over from their door, carrying something perhaps. I'm really not sure. And I screamed. I just screamed, and 6-year-old me has just stumbled backwards out of the booth, fumbling over the chair, into the walkway full of just startled families, because I'm howling at this point, and Dad, he just comes out from behind the thing and just launches towards me, trying to work out what's wrong, because I'm, screaming. And that overwhelming feeling of it all, the finality, the void, the loss, everything was still there and was still quite viscerally in my chest. I could feel it all. And it was blinding me. There's these families standing around just looking at this 6-year-old boy shitting himself in the middle of a museum, and no one can calm me down. No one knows what's wrong. I didn't know what was wrong. I've got no words. I've got nothing in my tiny vocabulary to describe any of this. And it was just the most confusing mess I think I've been in well, actually, I have a lot of confusing messes in my life. Anyway, he didn't have to lead me away. I was just pushing away. I was stumbling backwards. I could not get away from that machine fast enough. And to this day, I've never told him. I've never told anyone. He wanted to know. He'd ask me from time to time. Sometimes he'd discuss it with Mum. They'd look over me a little bit concerned because, I was a very honest child. I was a child who would run into my parents' bedroom and just excitedly scream, "Mummy, Daddy, I weed in my bed." But I couldn't tell them this. For years, I had no words. And once I did have the words, I had no explanation. And it's only now, almost 30 years later, that I can even begin to consider what happened. And as for what did happen, well, I can only assume it was a vision of things to come. That's how it comes across to me. I could almost entertain the idea of an accidental scrying. As a child, I was there staring intently into this screen, hoping to see something, or perhaps far more accurately, hoping to see something from the future. My wrinkly face, me older, and that may have played a part, because I'm not really familiar enough, I guess, with divination processes to know, but someone listening right now certainly does and might be able to tell me. But yeah, I was staring into this black, semi-reflective void, hoping to see the future, and I just saw a future that I really wasn't expecting. And there were two things that strike me. I think one was a second stranger, because in hindsight, I've never known what was happening to them, but I would say they were fiddling with a phone during CPR. And then were calling emergency services, which explains why their face was up to their hands were up to their face, and they've turned around and they're not, they're probably trying to even block out some of the noise of the commotion. And mobile phones of this nature certainly didn't exist in the early 90s. Of course, they would one day, and now I can probably look back and go, oh, it was a phone. The other one, I guess, was the setting, strikes me. While, of course, everybody listening has a 25% chance, give or take, of dying in autumn, or fall, as I think you might say, there was perhaps another metaphor in there. It was the hint of evening, the twilight years, if you will. I don't know if that was, supposed to be a physical representation of the location or just trying to suggest something. But what is obvious is that I was having an experience of an experience. So the experience is my out-of-body experience, and I was experiencing that as some kind of foretelling, so mind blown on several levels. I was foreseeing my own body as I floated away in the future. So, whoa. I really cannot tell what actually happened to me. That, in terms, I guess, of, what had befallen me, I don't know if that car had hit me, or if I had collapsed on the grass, and that car was just a driver coming onto me that went, ooh, quickly, stop, badly park, jump up, jump out, and try and help. Proper parking be damned, giving assistance. I don't know what happened to me. I just obviously came in halfway through. And obviously I'm still just starting to consider what this all means. And if one day, very far, very, very far into the future, this scene does actually come to fruition, you will be the first podcast that has first-hand evidence of clairvoyance. So that's nice. Keep this one in the archives. Hopefully, though, you'll find out through some other contacts, because I suspect that I will not be around to post about it. Yeah. Anyway, look, it's an experience that did haunt me for years, decades even, probably even still now, even though I spent those same decades in a house with far more going on. So, yeah, that's probably, I guess, where I'll leave it, but where I'll likely chat to you next time will be in that house as we finally tackle the multi-level high strangeness that was my childhood home. I know it sounds like I'm trying to beat it up, but no, I've just got a lot of childhood stories. So, have a good one. Stay weird. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for all the amazing accolades from the last one. That still blows my mind. You guys are the absolute best. Stay weird, and I'll see you soon. I'll chat to you soon. Something soon. I need a can of Monster.
Jeff.
My guy.
Dog.
Love you, man.
You're... yeah, that's all I got to say. Your stories are fucking
Fantastic.
wonderful.
They are exceptionally well done. And I love...
The verbiage that you use is just...
It's fantastic.
out of the park.
I also love, like, we have... I'm just going to go ahead and call you guys diehards. We've got a few diehards from that area. And what I love about the way you guys talk is you always sound so fucking happy. And I love that.
It's probably dope to live in Australia. And
It
New
probably
Zealand
is.
and shit.
And I don't know. It just sends out positive vibes. I love it. But, dude,
This
your story, it's fucking bizarre.
Wild. First off, if this does play out and it ends how your premonition ends, you still could try to get a hold of us. You know, then not only would we be the first podcast to have proof of precognition and premonition, but we would also be the first podcast to have proof of communication with the afterlife.
Ooh, touche.
Keep that thought in mind.
Touche. Put that in the archive.
And all right, as I was listening, I just did that thing with my teeth that my sister hates when she listens. Sorry, Molly. Anyway, as this played out, watching this whole scene in my head where you're floating up and you're seeing yourself and all these connections are like connecting the dots in my brain. So what if in the future this does play out, right? And dying old man Jeff looks up in the sky and he sees floating 6-year-old Jeff floating into the trees. And it's like this never-ending cycle of you having to live your life over and over again, Jeff.
Well, that's a shitty way of putting it.
It's almost like, it would be an aspect of your life flashing before your eyes as you die because you're reliving
Touche.
that encounter that had such an effect on your psyche. You're reliving it again, and you're also acknowledging the fact that what you saw did happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's weird.
It is fucking weird.
And like we were talking while we were listening here, and the fact that you went into a machine that's supposed to aid you, i.e. future shit, which then makes you have clairvoyance, precog, whatever you want to call it, to where you literally see the future of you passing away. That's fucking bizarre.
It's
Like
exactly what you wanted
so
to see.
we're 2 for 2 on shit that I've never heard before.
Yeah. It almost reminds me, there's this book by Jason Arnop, something. It's called The Last Days of Jack Sparks. It's a fictional book. And he is a paranormal investigator, and he's kind of not a likable character. Jack Sparks is kind of a dick. But he's out to prove that the paranormal doesn't exist. Because he's had these encounters he can't quite explain. Anyway, he recalls when he was young getting stuck in this closet in his house. And he always knew this closet was haunted because there was he would get a glimpse of this entity in wherever I don't even know if the closet was in his house. He said when he stepped through the door, it wasn't like his closet. It was like he was in a different room,
Right.
Almost into a parallel dimension. But he would always see this entity moving in and out of his peripheral and shit. He knew something else was there. Well, as he got older, he's investigating like all this weird possession shit and stuff, and he finds himself in this house. And as he goes in to this closet, he's catching a glimpse of something out of the corner of his eye, and it's young him.
Oh, that's weird.
In the closet, seeing old him, and he just never made the connection until he was right there. That's totally what it reminded me of. Like young Jeff seeing old Jeff dying. I'm wondering if old Jeff dying is going to see young Jeff floating.
That is weird. That is super weird.
I hope that day doesn't come anytime soon, Jeff. Because we have a phone line now.
It's good to hear that you.
So we're getting close to listening to this Australian Skinwalker Ranch story.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
It's gonna be
big time. I am big time excited.
Gonna be a good time.
Like, I love your stories, regardless.
Thanks for being patient with us too. I know we hyped it up, and we're trying to get our shit together.
Yeah, it's a slow process,
but we have not forgot about you.
Not at all.
Or the Aussie Skinwalker Ranch.
Not at all. Like, your stories are great. And maybe when you were younger, you were a super sensitive person, because they say kids are extra sensitive to this shit, and it's possible that you had something going on where certain things can trigger. I mean, listen to your stories. You have had more than one truly unique experience in your life. Like, not many people have this many ultra unique ones.
Yeah, it is bizarre.
So I don't know, something to think about. But, like Steve said, we're excited to hear the rest of what you got. Hopefully we get to sit down and do an interview with it and shoot the shit, because I bet it's going to be interesting.
I wonder what time it is on Australia.
Should be early as fuck.
Let's go to the Google machine.
There's a big time difference. I know that much.
Let's Google Australian time. I didn't even spell Australian anywhere close to being right.
No, it's par for the course. People don't spell good anymore now that we have smartphones.
Oh, no. This is going to work out perfect, because here we are. It's late as fuck here, and it's in the afternoon there.
Yeah, it might work out good for him.
Unless he's at work or some shit.
But, minus...
You're going to have to quit your job, Jeff. And
minus what? 2, because we usually start at 7.
So what time is it now? Oh, God. Minus 7 hours.
Yeah.
It'll be in the morning.
Yeah.
It'll be bright-eyed.
Yeah.
Crack a monster and get your story ready to go, Jeff.
Hell yeah.
All right. Yeah, again, thanks so much for recording that and sending it in. It's when you said that you were looking at yourself, me and Kyle looked at each other, and I'm like, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these we don't read them, we don't listen to them until we put it on the recording. That way we can kind of soak it in and get the reaction as we're going. So
absolutely,
that was pretty fucking sick.
It was awesome.
Next, we have an email submission from our friend Jake. He says, first off, I love the podcast. I've listened to Sasquatch Chronicles for years, as well as the Confessionals and a few others. I started binge listening to y'all after your Aegis episode with Tony and hadn't looked back since. I am an EMT, so sometimes long periods of waiting in our unit, then driving on top of it, so I listen to a ton of content every day I'm working. So, of course, Monday morning, I get started listening to the episode with the dreams. While I don't remember the exact verbiage at this point, as I've been meaning to write this for several days now, it was something about realizing you're awake during sleep paralysis or dreaming. Growing up, I would sleepwalk at least once a week. I was an oddball, and I would sleepwalk with my eyes open, though. This one time I vividly remember, I woke up, I started booking it into our living room where our parents were, hysterically crying and just panicked. I really don't know why I was panicked, but I was still dead asleep. I knew that I was sleepwalking, but I had full vision, and I could even think if I could only wake myself up, but I couldn't control my body. I couldn't move my arms and legs. I literally watched myself through my own eyes run and cry while I had no control over it. I even thought, you look so stupid, just wake up. But I just couldn't. At this point, I was in the living room and my parents woke me up, quote, and I was just like I'd regained the ability to move my body, though, as I was already awake. It was the absolute weirdest feeling in the world. I can't remember any specific experience with sleep paralysis in the traditional sense, but I was always super self-conscious about sleepwalking and could very well have repressed those memories. Stay weird, Jake. That's another first one. I haven't heard of people like sleep paralysis walking. But sleepwalking almost is a type of sleep paralysis if you think about it.
So I can't remember the show. I can't remember. I know that was a long fucking time ago, but I actually remember watching an episode on people who were sleepwalking, and I vividly remember, and it's because, here's a geek moment, nerd shit. I like video games a lot. So that's why I remember this story, is because this person was sleepwalking, but in their brain, and I don't remember the game, but I'll just say it was Mario. They thought they were Mario, like they were dreaming that they were Mario in the game. So they start running around their house.
Kicking turtles and shit.
No.
Oh.
They jumped through the fucking front window.
Oh, well.
I guess they had it was probably like a patio door or something.
Did it make the Mario noise where he goes down the tunnel?
Probably. Bloop, bloop, bloop. But they smashed right through the front window, and that's when they woke up, is when they were on the ground with glass sticking out of them and shit.
Terrible.
Right. It's not exactly similar, because in this account, which is more terrifying, it borderline sounds like the theory that, and I'm not saying this is related, but it like a walk-in situation where something else is in control of your body, but you're still able to watch somebody else drive, take the wheel and drive, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is not cool.
Yeah. It is. It's kind of reminds me of my experience when I know I'm in the dream. It's like I can see myself there, and you're trying to wake yourself up. You're like, exactly what he was saying. If you just wake up, you're cool.
Right.
Just wake the fuck up. You can't control it.
Yeah, I love that description too, where he's like, "Hey, idiot,
just
wake up," and it's all good.
Because whenever it happens to me, I'll be repeating that. Just wake yourself up. Like, come on.
See, because you feel so weird.
Like, it's almost like a horror movie. Like, you feel like whatever is out there is trying to get you and trying to harm you, and it's getting closer. So you're being more and more fucking panicked.
Right.
Wake up. And as soon as you wake up, you're fine.
Right.
But you can't.
And it's so weird. I've never had an instance where I knew that I was in a dream, ever.
Oh.
I've always been where you wake up. I have had it where I wake up and I'm convinced that dream was real for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I've had that, but I've never had it the other way around, where I knew that I was in a dream and I could alter the dream or wake myself up from said dream.
Yeah. Our last sleep paralysis episode where we revisited it, we kind of just went on a tangent, brought a lot of emails in. Here's another short one that's from our friend Josh. He says, this is totally what happens right before astral travel. So you're going to another dimension, and its realm that is full of thought forms, and whatever you think can manifest right away. If you can remove the fear after the vibration sensations, you can separate from your physical body and travel anywhere. Because people on that episode, people were talking about the vibrations, like and the sounds and shit. And apparently,
which
this
is
the
borderline what they used in Center Lane to put them in that altered state.
Yep. So if you can remove the fear, I don't know, dog. That's a lot of fear,
dude. That's what I'm saying. And because I've read other emails we got, I think, where people, or maybe it was messages on Instagram or whatever, but they say that, like, listen, when you're in these other places, the other beings have the opportunity to notice you as well.
Oh, yeah. So
there's that. And for me, I don't know that that's a good thing. I'm not saying that all, we'll just say other dimension / astral plane beings are evil, but I'm willing to bet that some of them are.
Yeah, I mean, look how shitty humans are.
Right. And at the very least, some of them are primal enough to where they'll just attack you.
Just eat you.
Or there's that.
But if something stepped through a dimensional doorway into our dimension,
we'd probably shoot it.
We would probably fucking kill it.
Exactly.
So I don't know why. In the thoughts upon thoughts that we have, that us stepping through a dimensional doorway, that anything on that side wouldn't fucking kill us.
Yeah. Or if we wouldn't kill it, we'd capture it and experiment on
Oh,
it.
hell yeah, we
Which, you know,
we'd kill it just to have proof that it existed.
there is
how
that.
fucking asinine is that?
There is that. I mean, that goes without saying. That would definitely happen.
We would 100%
Yeah.
kill the shit out of it.
Yeah. There's people out there that if
That's what they want to do with Bigfoot. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to take one to preserve the rest of the species.
Literally,
Have to take one.
I was literally getting ready to say that. Like, because we've talked about it before. We've been asked that question, like, what would you do if you saw a Bigfoot or an alien? Would you just kill it, capture it, or just let it go? And at first, the initial thought is kill it. But then we both agreed that, like, okay, well, what if Bigfoot's just hanging out over there, sitting on a rock eating an apple, and he waves at me? A, that's fucking weird. But B, he's not doing anything to hurt me. So why should I shoot him in the face?
Yeah, I'm saying just like I want to know they exist. I would love to see one. I'd love to get one on film.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like fuck with him. Like
No.
you just
No. And now if he tries to attack me, I'll do what I got to do. But nevertheless, I'm like you where
live your life, dog.
like if you and me was out there and we 100% without question saw a Bigfoot with our own two eyes, did not have the opportunity to film it or whatever, that's good enough for me. It's literally
I know.
Exactly. I don't need the rest of the world to believe that I saw something. All I need to know is know that I saw something.
I know.
Like, that's fucking it. I don't give a shit what you think.
True that.
Like, I will sit here and tell you my story, and if you want to believe me, awesome. If you want to discredit me, awesome. I don't give a
Doesn't
shit.
matter.
I don't fucking care.
Doesn't fucking matter.
And that, and that's just my attitude and outlook on it. Because, like I said, I've grown up with scrutiny with my own experiences, and to this day, I don't give a shit. Like, it is what it is. Here I am.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on some shit, I guess. A little tangent there.
I agree. How much time we have left? 10 minutes? We can
Yeah,
probably
we
you
can
want to
do
get another one in?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
These are always fun.
yeah. I like it. I like digging into what everybody's
Oh,
doing
dude,
with
same.
some
And
shit.
we get to theorize and bounce shit out there. And
Yeah. We have that. We have those other couple pulled up. Maybe we can just pick one of those.
yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I could read this. This one's fucking weird.
All right, let's go.
Okay, this is one I was talking about earlier about the owl. It's short. This is from my friend Dave. He says, back around 2001, I was driving down an off-road trail in northern Minnesota. I seen some old kid clothes off this rock ledge about 6 feet down from the road, which, first off, that's weird.
Yeah, that's
Creepy.
discomforting
shit.
as hell.
So he says, I get out and look, and I see kids' shoes with moss growing around them. I close my eyes for a few seconds, and I see myself standing back by my truck in the same spot. I hurry up and look from the direction I'm seeing myself in, and there is this owl looking at me about 20 feet away.
I don't even know where to go.
Owls are creepy,
Yes.
first off. Because we ask, after there was we had that submission about the big owl creature, the tall owl creature. This one came in, it was probably 2 months ago. And so that's what he said, my owl experience. And it is bizarre how many of these weird encounters do have owls in them.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that 100%. I just don't know where to go with this because what is he driving?
I was driving down an off-road trail.
So
maybe he was on a four-wheeler or something.
Okay, yeah, true.
No, he said by my truck. So I found
Yeah,
myself
true.
standing by my truck.
Maybe he was going really slow.
Or going
So he was
hunting
on
or
an
something.
off-road
Yeah,
trail.
he may have been hunting looking for...
I was going to say, because it's
Animal
weird
trails
that
and
you're
shit.
driving and you're able to spot kids' clothes, which
Not
would
of-
entice you to stop.
Yeah, but not driving slow.
Yeah, so...
I picture him being out in the woods. He's on like a four-wheeler path or some shit. Maybe
that totally makes sense.
Going to a pond or some shit.
Right, that makes sense. And it is, like, that's fucked. Real, because I don't know the context of why them clothes are there.
Yeah, there's a
Oh, yeah.
whole bunch of weird shit.
Yeah. And then the fact, so then it evolves from that, and you,
The kids' clothes make me think of Missing 411 right off the rip.
yeah.
And if
Then you have this whole, like, out of body seeing
like a
yourself.
like a teleportation kind of shit.
Yeah, it's
he
fucking
finds
weird.
himself back at his truck, and then you tie in the owl, like almost like maybe the owl was responsible
Because
for
then you're looking
the
so you
teleportation.
are. It's so weird because you are back at your truck looking at yourself from an out of body situation, or damn near through the owl eyes,
Oh, I didn't think
and
about
then
that.
you open your eyes to look in the direction that you're looking at yourself from, and you notice an owl standing there. I don't know. It's really confusing. It's hard to explain, but
to try to get.
it's fucking weird. And this is like 2 sentences.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, we should probably do that.
And I'm stumped.
Weird.
Like it's, I don't know. Or it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Like I am.
I don't either. Owls freak me the fuck out
dumbfounded.
first. Owls are dope, but they're also creepy.
Yeah, they
And
are.
I don't like them that much because they're probably aliens,
Yeah, because they're tied to a lot of creepy shit.
and I don't fucking want to deal with aliens. So there's that. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't even want to deal with an owl because they can be assholes.
Yeah, I read this thing where they're like fucking mortal enemies with crows
Really?
because crows are hella smart. First off,
Yeah.
they remember shit, they memorize shit, and apparently owls like to fucking eat baby crows and crow eggs and
Well,
shit.
that's shitty.
And so the crows will form these big fucking crow gangs and harass the owls all the time. So
Good
there's
for
like
them.
this huge fucking gang war
Good for
between
them.
owls who are like solitary predators and these crows who have to keep all their groups together to protect themselves from the
Yeah,
owls.
hashtag squad.
Yeah, gang. But that's probably about it.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna wrap her up there. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in the beginning we are getting close to having our store shirts, cool shit off the ground. It's being designed right now. We found a company to work with, all super cool guys. We got some good illustrators working, and we should have that up and running shortly. If not by the time this episode airs, it should be fucking close.
Yep.
So we'll be posting that all over the socials. You guys can go and get some merch and support some Hollow Sky, get the name out there and all that.
Hell
goodies.
yeah. Get you some swag.
That'll be dope. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to put their stories out and send them to us. And it's this and like getting your guys' feedback on the show is my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, it's
Like we delve
awesome.
into some weird shit and it's cool doing research and exploring creepy shit, but just being able to interact with all of you guys and gals is the best part of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's awesome.
We have the dopest listeners.
For show.
So, check us out on all our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Come hang out with us. You know the deal. And until next time, stay safe, stay weird, and if you encounter a giant mechanical armor-wearing centaur in your bedroom, be sure to remember the encounter and send it to us. Thanks and bye.